Bro, get this man out of here. What are you talking about? One, it is not our job to tell you about some of the founding fathers of boxing. I would never fix my lips to say, why y'all ain't tell me about Bernard Hopkins? Why y'all ain't tell me about James Toney? Because I already know about them. I already know their pedigree. I know they with it. And then, like, with what he said, sounded it sounded like somebody who just started watching boxing almost. Great on the inside and turn to a dog when it's time. What the are you talking about, bruh? We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live boxing ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live. Shakur Stevenson continues to miss, and I'll tell you why. Questions why the public didn't notify him about Marvin Marvelous Hagler. Wow. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, Shakur is on a streak of pure misses in terms of just what he's been putting out, right? Just what he's been putting out. And I've already talked about some of it. I got more videos coming out. Subscribe to the channel. I think he's on a bad streak, right? Where, first of all, this new generation, they're chopped. And I keep telling y'all that, but maybe now y'all will feel me. I feel like Shakur has a good fight ahead of him with Teofimo Lopez. But somehow, some way, he keeps finding a way to not make it about the Teofimo Lopez and say like very weird and bizarre things that if you kept the focus on your upcoming fight, it would probably serve you better, right? Now, I know some people are like, what do you talk about? So let me post it. Shakur has boxing fans kind of questioning his boxing IQ and stuff because he put this tweet. Why nobody told me Marvin Hagler was this cold? Great jab, solid movement, great on the inside, and turn to a dog when it's time. Bro, get this man out of here. What are you talking about? One, it is not our job to tell you about some of the founding fathers of boxing. What are you talking about? You are a pro boxer. You told Conor Ben that you've been boxing since you were 5 years old, and now you're 28 or whatever age Shakur is. Why do we need to, why do we need to tell you, as a man who's almost 30, who's been boxing 20 plus years, why do we need to tell you about Marvin Hagler? This is very questionable. This new generation is terrible, bro. Like it is mind-blowing because here's the thing. I get it. I'm from a different generation that didn't rely on cell phones. But my thing with this new generation is this. How do you have all of this technology at your fingertips and then you seem to know the least? It doesn't even make sense. Like when I was growing up, like when I was in elementary school or middle school, there were no cell phones that kids had, right? Kids, we didn't have no cell phones. That didn't come till later, right? And now that these kids are born with like computers and Wi-Fi and social media, but it seems like they know less than like times where that wasn't the case. So I don't know if you guys are just doom scrolling and looking at a bunch of nonsense instead of looking at meaningful stuff, but you would expect more from a Shakur Stevenson, who is a smart fighter in the ring. But we shouldn't have to tell you about a legend, rest in peace, like Marvin Hagler. And Shakur continues to do this. Like I said, I'm not his boss. I'm not his dad. I'm not his manager. I'm just telling you my opinion. You need a PR person like yesterday. You continue to put out from somebody who we respect as a boxer in a boxing mind, outlandish things. One point you were talking about Tyson Fury is way too big and he would whoop or beat Muhammad Ali. Most people that know boxing were like, that's a bad take. What are you talking about? How can you confirm that? And for me, I'm a grown man. I don't like the whole what if. I'm a very competitive person. So if I don't like doing fantasy because there's no end result, I like end results. Like if someone says they're a better editor than me, like let's run it. They can rap better than me. They're taller. Let's find out. You know what I mean? I want stuff where we can actually find out. I don't want nothing where it's subjective and we'll never know who was right. So I wouldn't have, if I was in Shakur's position, you're a public figure and a boxer, you're black, Muhammad Ali's black, and not just black, he's a legend that everybody loves and respects in boxing, right? I would have never made that comparison just in general because one, there's really no way to prove it. Two, it wasn't a good take. And it's funny because there's this side by side of Alexander Usyk and Muhammad Ali. They're the same height. They both gold medaled in the Olympics. They had similar weights. They're similar frame. They have the same birth date, right? All of these comparisons. And then that's the guy that would later beat Tyson Fury, right? So you claimed that Tyson Fury would have been way too big for Muhammad Ali, right? A mover and shaker. And in my opinion, Muhammad Ali got more power than Usyk at heavyweight. That's just my opinion. I love Usyk, but that's just my opinion, right? You said Tyson Fury would be way too big. He can't beat Usyk 2 times. So now your take was ice cold because people remember what you said and they look back at it and they're like, hold on, didn't you say that Muhammad Ali would have got whooped in too small, but then he can't even beat somebody who's like this newer generation's version? And I'm not saying Usyk is exactly comparable to Muhammad Ali, but what I'm saying is a slick style mover, about 6'3", 6'4", on the lighter side of the heavyweight spectrum. Usyk is that, right? So like he's not like Ika Beabuchi or David Tua. He's closer to Muhammad Ali in terms of fight style. So that whole conversation looked dumb from Shakur, right? All of these random comments like, I want a rehydration clause, but before you were clowning Tank for having rehydration clause with Ryan Garcia. And then now, fast forward to the future, you're like, why y'all ain't tell us about, why you ain't tell me about Muhammad or whatever, Marvin Hagler? It looked crazy. It really looked crazy to me because you're supposed to be a student of the game. And these kids is like, Shakur be like, I'm a boxing master, but I feel like part of being a master is knowing who and what came before you. Like Kobe Bryant, that would be like Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, one of my favorite athletes of all time, right? That would be like Kobe Bryant not knowing of Bill Russell or not knowing of Dr. J or not knowing Larry Bird, not knowing Julius Erving, you know, whoever, like all the people, Jerry West, like all the people that came before him, Kareem. That's like, yeah, rest in peace to Kobe. But Black Mamba, if he was still here and he was young. So you have to understand, he went from high school to NBA. You would never, ever hear even a young Kobe, 16, 17, fresh out of high school. You would never hear or see him put out a tweet or an interview where he's like, why y'all ain't tell me about Kareem? Why you ain't tell me Abdul Jabbar was raw? Why you, you know what I mean? Like, why you ain't tell me about Julius Erving? How come y'all didn't warn me? Like, what are you talking about, bro? Like that to me, that looked very bad. And I feel like a lot of people, they do a lot of things that I don't think they think it through. But at the end of the day, it looked bad once it's released, like what Shakur did. You know, Kobe Bryant being like, "Oh man, why y'all ain't tell me about Elgin Baylor?" You supposed to know about the people who came before you. They paved the way. And to be honest, for me, Marvin Hagler is not even like, he's not even one of the people that don't get mentioned. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, for example, there are some fighters that I can tell you about that a lot of people, they don't really think of when they think of like the legends. Like, they're more below the radar, right? Like, not everyone's gonna know about Mike McCallum, the body snatcher. Not everyone's gonna know, like I said earlier in this video, Ike Ibeabuchi, and another one of my favorites is Dwight Muhammad Kawhi, right? Out of Philly. There's people like that where he's raw. He was raw. Both people, Mike McCallum and Dwight Kawhi, right? And not everyone knows about them. Meldrick Taylor from Philly as well. There's a lot of like great fighters or spinks, like cruiserweight spinks, things like that, right? Where these were really good fighters. They didn't get the same, they don't, Aaron Pryor, I would put in that list, right? Not everyone knows about Aaron Pryor. Some people maybe. But there's a lot of good fighters that are like elite and they were doing their thing. Not doctor, because I'm thinking of basketball from when I was using the Kobe. But the Hawk Jackson, Julian Jackson, people like that, right? There's a lot of people that were really good boxers or really fun to watch, and a lot of people don't know him. Like James Smith. Y'all probably thought it was like LL Cool J or something. Todd Smith. James Bone Crusher Smith. People don't know about it. He gave Tyson a very tough fight. Hi, it's me, Mike Tyson. Watch my fight with Bone Crusher on Cox Cable. I want to watch on Cox Cable. It's on Cox. Pause. No Diddy. Right? James Bone Crusher Smith. A lot of people don't know about these names. So for me, when I look at like a Shakur Stevenson, if you don't know the validity of one of the four kings, like Marvin Hagler, who is celebrated, rest in peace to Haggler, then I feel like, I put it this way, I would have never said that. That's like not knowing who Bernard Hopkins is or James Toney, or not even not knowing who they are, but not, I would never fix my lips to say, why y'all ain't tell me about Bernard Hopkins? Why y'all ain't tell me about James Toney? Because I already know about them. I already know their pedigree. I know they with it. And then like with what he said sounded it sounded like somebody who just started watching boxing almost. Great on the inside and turn to a dog when it's time. What the are you talking about, bruh? Turn to a dog when it's time. Marvin Hagler was always a dog. What are you talking about? He turned to a dog like he a werewolf or something. And it was a full moon and only when the going got tough. Like Marvin, if you actually know boxing, Marvin Hagler, bro, he's the dude that popularized the war hat. The little red hat with the white writing that everybody wear. I see UFC fighters and all these people, like I think Dustin Poirier and all these people was wearing. What are you talking about? Turn to a dog when it was time. He was always a dog. So to me, this generation needs to spend less time calling people old heads and, you know, believing in their own legend, and like go back to the classics and really study their craft. That's why boxing is like flat right now, because the old school teachings, you don't even have coaches teaching what they used to teach back in the day. But this is, to me, this is disappointing from a smart fighter, because I really feel that is this new generation. I've heard Terrence Crawford and his team, and they start talking about like Willie Pep and like the older fighters, right? So I know Crawford would know the old school fighters that came before him. You hear a Keith Thurman, right? You hear Keith Thurman and he's articulate and he knows about the past fighters. He'll like break down the fight and be like, oh, it reminds me of this fight with blah, blah, blah. Errol Spence, all these great fighters that were the generation probably before Shakur, they actually knew who came before him. I heard Errol Spence talk about Aaron Pryor before, and but these new kids, you ask them about Edwin Valero or something, and they don't even know who he is. The game is crazy, bro. They know Jake Paul, but they don't know Edwin Valero. And speaking of Jake Paul, that's another mishap. Shakur tried to get Tank beat, flew over to Puerto Rico to help him. The fight get canceled, so you look crazy for that. And then you were doing interviews vouching for like Jake Paul and how good he is and he impressed you. And then the man get his jaw broke versus Anthony Joshua. So I feel like Shakur continues to be on the wrong side of history when it comes to boxing conversations. It's like he knows the here and now. Like, Bud is the GOAT. He's Mount Rushmore. Clarissa Shields. Oh, man. And then that's it. It's like, I really question how much Shakur knows about the history. I can give you another example. He did an interview with Cigar Talk, and this is not that long ago. And he said that Ray Robinson was buns. Anybody who talks like that, that's supposed to be a like clinical, tactical boxer, I can't trust you, bro. To call Ray Robinson buns, like it. I understand maybe if you call Ryan Garcia buns, because his biggest win, he popped dirty with Devin, and he never been a champion, and he's like someone you could fight, right? But to look back in history at what a lot of people would argue is the GOAT of all time, even the late great Roger Mayweather put Ray Robinson as numero uno over his nephew, Floyd Mayweather. He said, most muff don't know ish about boxing. Ray Robinson is the GOAT. And he knew boxers that even I probably never heard of. That's how invested the Mayweathers are in boxing, where they knew about, like, you know, Johnny Two-Step Jenkins. Like, who is that? Like some weird dude from the Midwest or something that no one else knew. They would know about those people. So if Roger, who his knowledge trumps all of the people watching this video, Floyd Mayweather Sr. knowledge in boxing trumps, and Floyd, right? Their knowledge as a Mayweather family trumps everybody who's going to watch this video, right? So the reality is, how are you out here? And like, for me, I am super cautious. I get brand deal offers all of the time. Believe me, don't believe me, don't care. All the time I get emails like, hey, we got a product. Hey, we like your channel. Hey, we want to advertise with you. I get this all the time. Shout out to the people who support with the Cash Apps, link in the description, the Super Chat, Super Thanks. Because the more the fans fuel and fun and support the channel, the more selective I can be when it comes to brand deals. But the reason I'm talking about it is I'm from a generation where I care so much about my name, my surname, my brand, and what I identify with and what I bring to the channel. I care so much. I'm not putting my stamp on just anything. And through great fans, I've been afforded the opportunity to be selective and hard work. You know what I mean? And I enjoy it. I enjoy being able to be selective and be like, I want to work with this brand that reached out. Nah, I don't know this, because I don't have to like hustle my fans. Like, there's some YouTubers, they'll do a brand deal with anybody for $50 or, you know what I mean, a little bit of change. I'm not doing that. And then they have a bad product and I done told all my fans to cop this product and it is horrible or it's a scam or something. I'm not doing that. So for me, I am very cautious about what I put my stamp on. But it is apparent that people like Shakur Stevenson, not necessarily the case, because when you put out a tweet, even though it's a tweet, you know, they come and go, you can tweet 1 million times a day. You're putting your name, your brand, your image on full display and pretty much putting a stamp on it. When you say Ray Robinson is buns, there is a videotape of you, right? A videotape of you calling a legend of the sport buns. Not even like, oh, he was kind of overrated. You're just saying he's like trash. There's video of you arguing for Ray Robinson to be trash. Now there's a tweet of you talking about, man, why y'all ain't put me on Marvin Hagler? Why should we have to put you on Marvin Hagler? Your name was being mentioned as one of the 4 kings, right? Of this new generation. Given the fact that you are being listed as one of the 4 kings of boxing of this modern generation, if I were in your shoes and people were saying, oh, Tank and Shakur, they the 4 kings. If I wasn't versed with the 4 kings and I didn't understand what that was, that alone would make, I come from that generation, that alone would make me go back and do my homework and be like, who are the 4 kings? Okay, you got Ray Leonard, Duran, you got Tommy Hearns, you got Haggler. Okay, what made these guys so great? Why were they called kings? You know, king is imperial, regal. Why did people refer to this generation as like some of the best years of boxing? Why are these guys getting called kings? I would look at that and I would study. Even because I told y'all I rap, right? That would be like me tweeting out when I first started writing rhymes. Man, why y'all ain't tell me about LL Cool J? Why should we have to tell you? Why y'all ain't tell me that Method Man was dope and Redman? Why y'all ain't put me on? Like it's Doechii or something, like it's a new artist. If you're a hip hop, that's why I don't respect a lot of people in this new generation. You got the Kai Cenats and stuff, and I'm not saying him particularly, but it's a pet peeve of mine when this new generation, they're so consumed with the now that they don't bother to look at the past, which led to you maybe even being here, right? Kai Cenat, how are you a hip hop brand? You got people who are like hip hop streamers, urban streamers, album review. They're supposed to give you a critique on Kendrick's new album, Drake's new album, but they don't know who Wale is. Kai Cenat was like, didn't know who Wale is. Chat, who is that? Who? Wally? Hardcore Wally? Like, how you don't know Wale, but you a hip hop platform? Bro, I'm about to go off. I'm about to rant because it's like almost sickening to me. I would never, the game has changed so bad. Like back in the day, if you were Tekashi and you were a known rat, you would be exiled from boxing. Now you got rappers doing features with Gunna or Tekashi and they seemingly don't care. You know what I mean? They seemingly don't care. You got people who don't need, they're hip hop bloggers. They don't even show respect to the legends. You got people like, oh, who's Chingy? Who's Nelly? How you don't know them? Like, and for me, you weren't, a lot of these dudes, you're not that young. You're not that young where you shouldn't know who Chingy is. Like you were born in 1996. You and you loved hip hop allegedly. Chingy's run was like 2003, 2007-ish. You would have been of age. You would have been at least 10, 12, middle school, to the point where you should know, at least know who these people are. This new generation is chopped, like I keep saying. You got people, and they, like, I feel like Shakur, you can never be better than Mayweather in general, but You really can't if you don't know the history, because in the history, they say history repeats itself. So at the end of the day, you'll learn more from the past than trying to figure out everything yourself. So that's why I had to rant about this and unpack it, because I just feel like this generation is part of the problem. They're part of the problem. They don't even know like simple stuff. When I was a little kid, there were the Temptations. That's not my generation. You know what I mean? Aretha Franklin, that's not my generation. But I know about Motown. I know about the Temptations. I know about Aretha Franklin. I know about Sam Cooke. I know Bobby Womack, right? Teddy Pendergrass, Curtis Mayfield. People that came well before I was even born. Some of them died before I was even born, right? But I know the history. And I don't understand these hip hop bloggers, boxers, and they want to be spoon fed. Why y'all ain't tell me about Haggler? I would have never put out an ignorant comment like that ever. I would be embarrassed, but for some reason Shakur's not. He like, why nobody told me? Like, to be honest, what would have been better is if you just said Haggler is goated. I'm watching old Haggler tapes. But the fact that you said why nobody told me he was this cold is very suspect. And the thing is, he didn't die up until like recently. So it's not like Alexis Arguello. You know what I mean? It's not like Salvador Sanchez where he died at 23 or whatever, well before Shakur was probably born. We talking about Marvin Hagler, who has pictures with Gennady Golovkin, right? He didn't die that long ago to be out of the loop. He died after the pandemic, 2021, right? So it's like how you don't know who these people are, or you don't know the history. Like I said, I can't picture a Michael Jordan saying some BS like that. I can't picture a Kobe Bryant saying something like that. It's just, there's no way. LeBron, none of these dudes. So I think these new fighters, they got to go back to the drawing board and really study, because a lot of them, they're legends in their own mind. They do the talking and they do the chirping and they're like, I'm unbeatable, I'm amazing, blah, blah, blah. But look at what people did before you. Like a lot of, and you'll notice there's a lot of fighters who probably feel like I'm the first to do this. But I guarantee you, you're not the first to do it. There is probably someone who did it and did it better before you. Like, oh man, I'm such a great showman. Adrian Broner was a better showman. Prince Nassim and Floyd and Roy Jones, they were better showmen. You ain't doing nothing new. There's nothing new about what you're doing because you think you can sell a fight. Man, I'm the first one to dress up for my ring walk. Nope. Roy Jones walked out with the tux at Radio City Music Hall. You're not the first to do that. So my message is to study the greats. History repeats itself. Always look to history before you look to the future. We unpacked. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators, a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself, especially if you're new. But even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click-through rate. So ultimately,